When a man truly loves you, one of the clearest signs you'll notice is the way he protects you. But here's what most people misunderstand. True protection is not control. It doesn't come in the form of dominance, demands, or emotional manipulation. It's not about who calls the shots or who sets the rules. A loving man doesn't need to manage your every move to feel secure in the relationship. His protection isn't about power, it's about presence. Presence is the ability to show up, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. When something is bothering you, he doesn't dismiss your concerns. He doesn't say you're overreacting, or you're being too sensitive. He listens attentively with the intent to understand, not to win an argument or correct you. That's a form of emotional protection, and it matters just as much, if not more, than anything else. There's a psychological term called emotional attunement. It means tuning into another person's emotional needs and responding with sensitivity. A man who loves you will be attuned. He notices when your tone changes, when you seem distant, when something's off. He doesn't ignore it or wait for you to explode in frustration. He steps in with care, with calm, and with an energy that says, "I've got you." It doesn't mean he'll always fix the problem, because it's not about fixing. It's about being there, holding the space, letting you know that you are not alone. People often confuse jealousy with love, but real love doesn't come with tracking devices, aggressive questioning, or interrogations masked as concern. A protective man doesn't need to know your every move, every message, or every friend's name to feel safe in the relationship. That's not love. That's insecurity. And insecurity leads to control. Love leads to trust. A man who protects you from the world won't try to protect himself from you. He opens up, shares, becomes vulnerable, because he trusts you the same way he wants you to trust him. Think about physical protection, too. It's not just about stepping in front of danger, although he would if he had to. It's about everyday actions, walking you to your car at night, making sure you got home safely, checking in when he knows you're stressed or dealing with something heavy. It's the subtle, almost quiet ways he says, "I care what happens to you." And here's the part we often overlook. A man who truly loves you will protect you from himself. That means when he's angry, triggered, or upset, he won't unleash that pain on you. He will not use you as an emotional punching bag. He will not weaponize your vulnerabilities. He will not use your fears against you. Instead, he takes a step back, he breathes, he thinks, he chooses words over volume. He takes responsibility, because love doesn't excuse bad behavior. In fact, love makes you want to rise above it. In the Secret Service, one of the first things you learn is that true protection is proactive. You anticipate threats, you prepare, you observe patterns, you pay attention. That same philosophy applies here. A loving man doesn't wait for you to break down before he checks in. He learns your stress signals. He understands your coping style. He wants to learn how to support you before the crisis comes. That's proactive love. That's thoughtful presence. You'll know a man loves you by how safe you feel when you're around him. And not just safe from the outside world, but safe to be yourself. Safe to laugh, cry, fail, and try again. You won't feel like you're walking on eggshells. You won't constantly be afraid of saying the wrong thing. You'll be able to exhale around him. That exhale, that freedom, that is what protection really feels like. It's easy for someone to claim they love you. Words are cheap. But protection is shown in actions. Does he make you feel prioritized, not as an obligation, but as someone deeply valued? Does he show up for you consistently, not just when it's convenient? Does he stand by you even when it's uncomfortable? Because love isn't just about showing up when everything is good. It's about sticking around and showing grace when things get hard. And one last thing. If he's truly protective of you, he'll also encourage you to protect yourself. He won't want you to be dependent. He'll want you to be strong. He'll help you build boundaries. He'll challenge you to speak up. He won't silence your voice. He'll help you strengthen it. Because the goal isn't for him to be your shield forever. The goal is for him to be by your side while you become your own. That's the kind of love that lasts, not performative, not possessive, not conditional, but rooted in presence, protection, and profound respect. And if a man truly loves you, those signs will not only show, they will speak louder than any "I love you" ever could. When a man truly loves you, his love doesn't show up in big, dramatic waves that crash in and out of your life. It shows up in the form of consistency, steady, reliable, and grounded. It's not about how intense he is at the start, how many gifts he gives, or how poetic his words are in the beginning. Real love isn't a performance. It's a commitment. And when that love is real, it doesn't fade when things get difficult or when the excitement settles. Instead, it becomes more solid, more dependable, and more deeply rooted in action. Intensity can feel exciting, even intoxicating. Someone may come into your life and sweep you off your feet, flooding you with attention, messages, compliments, and affection. But love isn't measured by how high the highs are. It's measured by whether that person shows up again and again, on the days when you're tired, when life feels ordinary, or when you're not at your best. A man who truly loves you doesn't disappear when the fireworks die down. He understands that love isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. This kind of consistency builds trust. It makes you feel safe. You know where you stand. You're not sitting by your phone wondering why he suddenly went quiet after a week of intensity. You're not decoding mixed signals or reading between the lines, because he's clear, he's honest, and most of all, he's there. His actions match his words, and he doesn't make promises he can't keep. If he says he'll call, he calls. If he says he wants to see you, he makes time. And if he says he's committed to you, his behavior reflects that every single day, not just when it's easy or exciting. We live in a world that often glorifies intensity. Movies, books, and media often portray love as this overwhelming, all-consuming force that sweeps us off our feet. But in reality, that kind of love often burns out quickly. It's unsustainable if it isn't backed by emotional maturity, intention, and steadiness. A man who truly loves you doesn't need to create emotional chaos to feel connected to you. He doesn't need to argue just to feel passion. He values peace over drama, stability over confusion. That's the love that lasts. What's powerful about consistency is that it removes doubt. And when there's no doubt, there's space for growth. You're not wasting your emotional energy on wondering where you stand. You're not guessing his feelings every week. Instead, you can focus on building something meaningful together. You're free to be yourself, fully, confidently, and securely, because you know that he's not going anywhere. He's not performing love. He's living it. There's a discipline to real love. It's not just about how someone feels. It's about what they do. Love is shown in how someone responds during hard times, when you're sick, when you're stressed, when things aren't fun or convenient. A man who loves you doesn't make excuses when you need support. He doesn't shut down when life gets hard. He steps up, and not in grand gestures, but in the small, quiet ways that show you he's committed. Bringing you soup when you're not feeling well, checking in when he knows you've had a rough day, asking how he can support you instead of assuming what you need. That's consistency. That's care. Another sign of consistent love is emotional regulation. He's not someone who's hot and cold. He doesn't put you on a pedestal one day and then withdraw the next. He knows how to communicate, even when it's uncomfortable. He's not running from hard conversations or disappearing when conflict arises. He stays, he listens, he works through it with you, because that's what grown, emotionally available love looks like. It's easy to show up when everything is perfect. It's easy to say the right things when there's no pressure, no conflict, no stress. But true love reveals itself in the everyday. It reveals itself in the willingness to be present even when emotions are messy, when there's nothing to gain, or when life gets routine, because that's where relationships are built, in the quiet, mundane, and honest moments. You should never feel like you're auditioning for love. You should never feel like you have to prove your worth just to be treated with respect and consideration. If a man truly loves you, you'll feel the consistency not just in what he does for you, but in who he becomes for the relationship. He becomes someone reliable, accountable, supportive, and importantly, someone who makes you feel emotionally steady, not emotionally exhausted. Real love grows in predictability. That doesn't mean it's boring. It means it's trustworthy. And in a world full of people who are inconsistent, unsure, and emotionally unavailable, a man who is consistent becomes something rare, something valuable, something worth holding on to. So if you're asking whether a man truly loves you, don't look at how high he lifts you when things are good. Look at how steady he is when life gets real. Watch how he shows up. Not once, not in bursts, but consistently. That's where real love lives. When a man truly loves you, one of the most powerful things he offers isn't just affection. It's emotional safety. This isn't always easy to spot in the early stages of a relationship, but over time, it becomes one of the clearest and most enduring signs of real love. Emotional safety means you can show up as your full, authentic self without fear of being judged, mocked, dismissed, or used. It means you can express your truth, even when it's messy, and still be met with respect and care. In relationships that lack emotional safety, you feel like you're constantly walking on eggshells. You hesitate to speak up because you're unsure how your words will be received. You shrink parts of yourself to maintain peace. You second-guess your emotions because you've been made to feel like they're too much or not valid. But when a man truly loves you, he doesn't make you feel smaller to keep the relationship afloat. He makes room for every part of who you are, your strength, your softness, your insecurities, and your voice. Emotional safety is about trust, but not just the kind of trust where you believe he won't cheat. It's deeper than that. It's the trust that you can bring your truth to the table and not be punished for it. It's the trust that your emotions won't be used against you later in an argument. It's the belief that you can be vulnerable without being seen as weak. And it's the feeling that you don't have to earn your place in his heart every single day. You already have it. When a man loves you, he listens, not just to respond, but to understand. He doesn't roll his eyes when you're upset. He doesn't tell you to calm down or that you're too sensitive. Instead, he leans in. He asks questions. He gives you space to feel what you feel. That kind of emotional intelligence is rare, and it's a reflection of someone who values your inner world, not just your appearance or the role you play in his life. You should never feel like you're in competition with his ego. In an emotionally unsafe relationship, even simple conversations can turn into power struggles. But when you're loved by someone who honors emotional safety, he doesn't need to win. He doesn't need to be right. He cares more about the health of the connection than proving a point, and that's a mark of maturity. He regulates his emotions. He knows how to pause instead of react. He's aware of his tone, his words, and how his actions impact you. He's not perfect, but he's accountable, and that makes all the difference. Emotional safety also shows up in how he handles your mistakes when you mess up, and you will because you're human. He doesn't weaponize your flaws. He doesn't bring up old wounds just to hurt you. He doesn't use your past as ammunition. Instead, he chooses grace. He chooses communication. He wants to understand what happened, not shame you for it. That doesn't mean he doesn't set boundaries or express hurt, but he does it from a place of care, not cruelty. That's real love, and let's talk about silence. Because sometimes safety is felt most in those quiet moments. You can sit together in peace without the pressure to perform or entertain. You can have a bad day, a low moment, or a stretch of silence and still feel connected. You don't have to be on all the time. You don't have to pretend. There's no fear of abandonment just because you're not in a great mood. That quiet comfort, that steady presence, that is emotional safety in its purest form. Another powerful element of emotional safety is how he supports your boundaries. A man who truly loves you will not test your limits just to see what he can get away with. He honors them. He respects your no. He checks in when he's unsure. He doesn't push you into situations that make you uncomfortable, whether that's emotionally, physically, or otherwise. He doesn't take your compliance as a given, he sees it as a choice, and he treats it with respect. And if you're growing, changing careers, exploring new passions, setting new goals, he doesn't feel threatened. He doesn't sabotage your growth out of fear. He encourages it. He stands beside you. He helps you feel safe enough to evolve, because he understands that love should be a launching pad, not a leash. He wants you to rise, not because he's trying to shape you into something else, but because he sees who you are and believes in who you're becoming. Insecure men create relationships where partners feel afraid to speak, afraid to grow, and afraid to leave. But a man who loves you creates a space where you feel grounded. You're not waiting for the other shoe to drop. You're not bracing for the next emotional blow. You're not guessing how he feels about you today. You know because he shows you, not just with his words, but with his tone, his attention, and his ability to make you feel seen, heard, and held. So if you're wondering whether a man truly loves you, look at how safe you feel in his presence. Do you feel like you can be yourself? Do you feel like your voice matters? Do you feel supported when you're most vulnerable? Because if you do, if those answers are yes, then you're not just loved, you're valued, you're protected, and you're in the presence of something real. When a man truly loves you, he doesn't just tolerate your growth. He celebrates it. He doesn't feel the need to outshine you, outsmart you, or outpace you. Instead, he stands beside you with pride when you evolve, succeed, and step fully into your power. He doesn't view your strength as a threat. He sees it as an asset to the relationship. He admires your ambition. He respects your independence. He applauds your wins, not because it flatters his ego, but because he genuinely wants to see you rise. One of the most dangerous myths about love is that the woman must always be smaller, less successful, less assertive, less opinionated, so the man can feel more secure. But that's not love. That's fear wrapped in dominance. In real, healthy love, there's no room for competition. A man who truly loves you doesn't keep score. He doesn't get intimidated when you shine in your career or earn more accolades. He doesn't try to subtly undermine your goals or steer you toward playing small. Instead, he looks at your accomplishments with genuine joy. He feels proud, not possessive. You'll notice it in his language. When you talk about your dreams, he listens, not with apathy or indifference, but with interest. He asks questions, offers encouragement, and supports you in the process. He doesn't interrupt to make it about him. He doesn't dismiss your ideas or try to fix them. He understands that listening is an act of love, that making space for your aspirations is just as important as sharing his own. He understands that partnership isn't about control. It's about collaboration. It's about lifting each other up, even if you're on completely different paths. When you're with someone who loves you, there's room for both of you to succeed. And when you win, it's not just your moment, it's your shared moment. He's not sitting in the background feeling resentful. He's not secretly wishing you'd fail so he could feel stronger. No, he's standing there, clapping for you the loudest, because your light doesn't dim his. It inspires it. When a man is truly secure in himself, he knows your power doesn't take away from his. In fact, he sees your strength as something that makes the relationship better. He doesn't need to constantly assert his dominance. He doesn't seek validation by putting you down. He finds it in how he shows up, in how he provides, protects, and supports, not through comparison, but through consistency. And when you're struggling, not just when you're winning, he's there too. That's important. Because a man who only sticks around for the highlight reel isn't invested in you. He's invested in the image of you. But a man who loves you stays for all of it, when you're doubting yourself, when you're tired, when the world is loud and you need stillness. He's there not trying to fix you or criticize your journey, but holding space and reminding you who you are. In real love, there's mutual empowerment. You grow together. You challenge each other in healthy ways. He's not afraid to call you out if you're getting in your own way. He's honest not out of cruelty, but because he wants to see you succeed. He wants to see you become everything you're meant to be, and he knows that sometimes the most loving thing he can do is speak truth into your life, even when it's hard. That's not criticism, it's commitment to your growth. When a man truly loves you, he celebrates your individuality. He doesn't need to mold you into someone you're not. He respects your differences. Maybe you think differently, maybe you have different goals. But instead of trying to change you, he seeks to understand, because real love isn't about finding a clone of yourself. It's about embracing the person in front of you and learning how to grow together despite and because of those differences. And you'll feel the difference. You won't feel held back. You won't feel like you have to tone yourself down just to keep the peace. You won't feel like you have to apologize for being driven, passionate, or successful. You'll feel encouraged, empowered, supported, not just in words but in actions. He'll show up to your events. He'll ask how your meeting went. He'll talk about your goals like they matter, because to him they do. That kind of support creates a powerful foundation. It builds trust, it builds connection, and it creates a dynamic where you're not just lovers, you're teammates, you're partners in every sense of the word. You push each other, not out of insecurity, but out of belief in each other's potential. And that's what makes love strong. Not competition, but commitment to shared growth. So when you're wondering if a man truly loves you, look at how he reacts when you're at your best. Does he try to match you, diminish you, ignore it? Or does he cheer you on, fully and without hesitation? Because that reaction tells you everything. Real love isn't afraid of your light. It helps you shine brighter.